I reckon Pete has so many things to say, but he can't say them because he's not going to turn his audio on. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put some shorts on.
Pressure in like that. Ollie did a great job there.
Wait, Pete. Oh, I can't hear you. I can see you've muted it as well. Pete. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah.
What are you saying?
Look at it is.
Yes.
The whole squad.
What happened to your hair, bro?
Huh?
You look bald.
Yeah, it's completely bald. No, it's really bad on camera. You can't really see it. But it is blonde. My mate cut it too short though. So.
Did you dye it?
Yeah.
Man, you was talking to me about doing that before, innit?
Yeah. It looks alright though. I think it actually looks alright.
Yeah, it looks decent. You look like the guy from Shamo, bro.
Huh?
You look like the guy from Shamo.
Yeah, I do actually. That's the vibe, mate. It's the Shamo vibe.
You got to start biting people's dicks off now as well.
Whoa, that's not very nice, is it? Your mom.
Yo, Pete, have you seen Gordon doing a Barambolo?
Yeah, of course. Well, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that.
What he's the Nogi goal. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Stanley, what are you saying?
Not much, bro. What are you man saying?
Yeah, not much.
Let me see if I can start filming that. What are you man saying? Right, this is El Dragao on the left and the farmer on the right. Is there anyone else?
The big all round.
I got the GoPro Hero 8. This is what I'm filming you with.
Right.
So, man's a vlogger now.
Okay. Right.
And Nathan.
Yeah.
We're going to continue with our roles, yeah? So I'm going to mute us.
Okay. Okay. So, what match we're going over today is we're going to go over David Garmo versus Oliver Tarza. I feel like this is a good match to watch because it goes over a lot of the stuff we've been going over in general, and it goes over a lot of the systems, so a lot of the Danaher systems in general, and it's a good showing of just how being the aggressor for most of the match is usually going to not allow the person to have any kind of offensive attack themselves. Okay, Oliver Tarza is a very standout person from Danaher's team, one of the guys from TriStar. He's been in ADCC twice, and unfortunately losing both of his matches. But very, very good nonetheless. Very, very aggressive sub-only grappler. He truly shines in matches which are pure sub-only, I'd say. He's a very, very aggressive person and shows the systems quite well, okay? So, to start off, should I show the match in its entirety? It's only 3 minutes. Yeah. It's a very short match, so I'm just going to show it. As I get a drink now, I'm just going to put it on for its entirety so you lot can see, and then we'll go over the match, okay? It's only 3 minutes, so it's easy to watch in one go. So one sec. We should be able to see my screen now. Okay. Volume off. Right, so I'm just going to play this now quickly so everybody can see it once, and then we'll go over it. I feel like this is such a hard. Who actually did what Grant was? Someone's here at 4:20. I know, but I feel like I've seen recently that maybe tag it to me. Use a wrist lock it. Into the wrist. You see my wrist lock? And then some guy just comes out there for go with the wrist lock. You know the reason he's not doing it. The reason he's not doing it is the reason he like does this is because when he thinks about going for legs and doesn't work it straight away, he's not allowed to play through legs. You definitely love it. What do you mean? No, I think Carl's good, yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. You're gonna try. No, don't worry, I doubt he's gonna go find my my match. All right, that's the whole match. So as you can see, a lot of stuff happens in that match. A lot of stuff happens during that match. A lot of different systems. What's interesting in this match is it was quintet rules, and in quintet, which is like quintet rules are basically 5v5 people, two people, one versus it's five people on each team, 1 versus 1, and if someone subs that person from the other team, they stay on, and the other person gets knocked out, and the next person comes on. Okay, so the first person goes against the second person. So theoretically, one person can take out a whole team, which happened once. Lachlan Giles took out a whole team. I think Gordon Ryan took out a significant portion of the team as well in one of the quintets. Okay, there's no leg locks allowed. Okay, in quintet rules for some reason, which is weird because most of these people are decent at leg locks, but Tarza specifically is well known for leg locks. Okay, but you see a good use of the saddle being used as a non-leg locking position. Okay, or being used not just for leg locks in this scenario. You'll see in some of the parts of this match where Tarza thinks about going for legs, but doesn't. because he knows the rules. He's not allowed to leg lock. Okay, but he still uses the position very, very efficiently. Okay, a lot of passing is shown off of this. Okay, so let's go over some of the sequences in this match. Okay. So, bear in mind, Garmo's already had a match before this match, so he was against a fairly big guy, which he guillotined. So he was fairly tired before this match started, but nonetheless. Okay. So the start, we have just these scrambles. Okay, he tries to come up, gets Sunigation off, and now we go to this knee slice position. Okay, or Z guard position. Sorry for Garmo. Okay. Now, there's some good things that Taza does in this position, okay? And you'll see him do it twice now, and then we'll go over it, okay? Okay, so look, he's in the Z-guard position. You see what he's doing with Garmo's arm now? He's trying to pass it off to get an underhook, okay? He's not successful, but that was what he was doing there. And then he disengages, back steps, and gets to saddle, okay? Controls the secondary leg, so Garmo can't spin out. Okay, and now look, he's going to rock himself up on top, and now he's in this knee slicing position we were talking about last week. Pins the bottom hand down, so it's hard for Garmo to turn it into him. And now what Taz is trying to do now is get a low underhook on his body and start working to get to a knee slice. Okay. Also, whenever Garmo gets up to his elbow, he's threatening he's threatening to get a Kimura trap, which I'm pretty sure went over. No, we went over a Kimura trap from the saddle or something. Yeah, okay. Look, similar to what Gordon Ryan was doing in his match against Yuri, which I think we watched, and also what he does in his brown belt run at Worlds, okay? And then, just before that, sorry, and just after, he uses this sequence to free his leg and just finish in side control, okay? So a lot of stuff happened just within that little portion there. He tried a lot of different attempts before he actually got to finish the pass, okay? So one more time with him on top, okay? He works to get his underhook, which I'm going to show in a bit. Working to get his underhook here. Now he completely disengages with the guard, back steps, controls the secondary leg, even though it's in a weird position, so he can't spin out. So he follows and controls the whole time. Now he's going to rock himself up. And now he's on top again. And he's in this good position to start knee slicing if he just gets his other leg out. He's pinning the bottom hand down so Garmo can't really turn into him very well. And you can't hand fight with that hand either. Working to turn into his side more so it's easier for him to pass. Then threatens to Kimura trap him, falls to his back. Now it's easy for him to get a cross face and start pass and finish the pass. Okay, it's hard to see what happens with his legs there. This is what he's going for. Okay? So let's just quickly go over some of those points now, alright? Right. Okay, so. Okay, so. Okay, so we're in this position, okay, which is basically reverse De La Hiva, pseudo Z guard. If my knee was on the floor, we'd be in Z guard, okay? This is fine, we can do both of them, okay? Okay? So, from here, one of the main problems you're going to have with knee slicing is, okay, so the main things that are going to stop you from knee slicing is going to be the top knee here, which stops you from putting pressure on Will. He can also frame off using both of his arms, okay? Usually, we work to get past this knee first. We do that usually by squaring the person up and getting my elbow on the inside. You see how my elbow's down the inside of his thigh? If he tries to use his knee now, it's hard, okay? Depending on what I do, okay? Well, as soon as I get my elbow in, I'm usually going to connect my elbow to my thigh and put my shoulder next to his knee. Now, if he tries to do two of the main things that people do, if I get my hand in and I'm not strong, leaning against it and following his knee here, he's either gonna, if I'm too far back, he's gonna throw his leg over and lasso, okay, which is good for him. Or if I open my elbow up too wide, he can kick his leg straight and then back in, and now he has his knee shield in again, okay? So whenever I get my elbow to the inside, I usually want to get my shoulder next to his knee, and wherever his knee moves, my shoulder can track, okay? So I'm staying quite low here. So my knees down, my elbow's connected to my thigh, my shoulder's next to his knee. If he tries to move his knee around now, it's easy for me to follow, okay? And then I'll usually work to start beating the arms, because he'll be framing. If he's smart, he'll be framing off my far shoulder. Now it's hard for me to start passing, okay? Because I want to use this shoulder to be cross facing him with, and also I want my other hand. The hand, as soon as I've gotten past his knee, I want this arm to start sliding down and having underhooks, okay? This makes my passing sequences easier, okay? So what you saw Taza do there with his arms was when Garmo was framing off of his shoulder, he was doing a grip where he was grabbing Garmo's wrist, and his other hand was there ready to catch as an underhook, okay? So what I can use with this arm is I can push it across and gain an underhook, okay? See, I've got an underhook here. Now I can work to get my cross base, bring my knee to the floor, and then start working to get a nice side control, okay? So, again. So if he's framing with my shoulder, there's lots of things I can do. I can even grab the top of your wrist and start working to the dance here. But for now, I'm going to try my underhook. So I push across and then over my arm, okay? So you see I've got my underhook now? Onto this side. So I'm here, he's framing with my shoulder. Look, I can push on his wrist, so it goes over my shoulder, and now over my tricep, and now look, I have an underhook. Now I can work to get my underhook deeper, and start working to get my knee to the floor, sliding his legs back, and getting a nice tight side control here, okay? Once more quickly. So here. So let's say he had his knee shut in, so I'll just show you some more stuff. So my hand's on his hip now, to wait to get my elbow in. I square his body up, get my elbow in. Now if he's framing, I can push off with this arm. My other hand becomes an underhook. So here, I push off, get my underhook, and I can work. Get my knee slice and finish, okay? There's lots of different other stuff I can do from here, which you don't see in the match, but I could work to do this switch, step over his head, and then switch to Kimura's here. There's lots of different stuff I can do from this push, okay? It's a very nice position, because this frame's usually going to be the more important one when he's pushing off me. So it's very useful for me to be able to force and get an underhook and start working to pass, okay? Okay. So after he does this, he finds trouble trying to get control of it. Okay? He finds it hard to get this hand off as he's pushing in. He keeps on trying to push, but Garmo is savvy to it and keeps his elbow on the inside. So as he's doing this, it's hard for him to get the underhook, okay? So what Taza does is he completely disengages, which is fine. You want to completely disengage and start working to get better footing, and this is fine, okay? So from here, he disengages. He's controlling the leg that he steps out from. So he steps out, now he gets his other leg in, and now what he does is he's backstepping with this leg as he forces Garmo's leg in between his legs, okay? Because what he wants to do is he wants to control the knee line for when he's attacking legs and stuff, and also for control. So if he pushes it through as he backsteps, controls the leg, and sits back and gets his secondary control of the leg. Sorry, I'll show on the other side so it's a bit easier for you to see. So look, so we're here, okay? He steps out here. He's controlling the knee now. Look, as I backstep, as my leg comes back, my goal is to get my knee behind his knee like this. Okay? It helps when I have my arm here pushing through. Okay, now my knee can go behind his knee. I can control his second leg and just control from here. Okay? Now, if leg locks were legal, obviously all of the times we can start working for heel exposure here. But he knows it's not, so he rolls up and starts working from knee slice, okay? So, from here, he brings his secondary leg in, works his way to the top, and now look, sorry man. Okay, and now look, I'm in this saddle position, but all I need to do to get into a knee slice position where I've passed his leg is I just need to step my leg over, okay? I can't just do, Oliver Taza doesn't just do this willy-nilly, okay? Because if I do that, there's opportunities for him to get an underhook. For instance, if I didn't get good upper body grips here and just step my leg over, Will could get good grips himself and then work to sweep me very, very easily, okay? Because, go back so you can see. Right, so, look, so if I'm here, if I have my underhook here, perfect, okay, I'm going to start passing, okay? But if Will can get to his side, have an underhook himself, so look now, one second. Okay, so look, the underhook. There's an underhook on me on this side, and he has an underhook on my leg as well. So now it's very hard for me to keep balance. He has control of one half of the body. And now he's just going to roll me over like this. And he sweat very easily, okay? If I try and base up, he can just come out the back door, take my back. Okay, he has good control of my legs. He can do a lot of good stuff from there, okay? So when, when I roll up to the top, I need to make sure I have good upper body grips, okay? When I unlock my cannabis army, or my saddle, sorry, so right now. So I'm in saddle here, okay? One way is if he's completely flat on his back here, and I can get my underhook, that's perfect. I can just do the easy step over and work my pass. If he's on his side, which is what happened with the Tarzan match, which happened in the Tarzan match, he was more on his side, okay? There is options here where I control the back of his head, put my fist next to his hip, step out, and knee slice off to the side and pass, okay? Like I can just knee slice out, my hands blocking his hips from following, and I can pass, okay? But I think Tarzan couldn't get good control of his head, and maybe Tarzan's not a massive fan of this pass, maybe, we don't know, okay? But what Tarzan does from this position, okay, is he's working to get an underhook, okay? If you can force Garmo to flatten his back, okay? So what he does is he pins the bottom arm, which makes it a bit harder for him to turn towards him, okay? Which allows him to get a low underhook. So he basically scoop grips his hip and gets his shoulder low. Because now, if Will decides to turn into me, which some people will because they want to try and free their arm, okay? Now look, I have a nice exposure for me to get underhook. I can step over now and go back to a normal passing, okay? The actual finishes sequence itself, though. One sec. Oh yeah, he comes up to his elbow, doesn't he? Alright. Okay, so it's very hot in here. Okay. So what happens in this scenario is Garmo comes up to his elbow, okay? When someone comes up to their elbow, those two scenarios are very hard. It's hard for me to get an underhook because he's much closer to me, and I can get a near side underhook, but he doesn't go for this, okay? So what I do, come back this to space. Okay, so from here, I want to get my head over the top of Will's, okay? And my hand comes over and slithers through, exactly like that. Exactly like that Yuri Samoa's match, okay? So what happens here is Garmo reacts very aggressively and turns aggressively to his back, okay? What happens in this scenario is as he's turning, okay, as Garmo's hips turn up like this, his legs become open and it's easy for Tarzan to get his legs out. He was lucky almost that Garmo didn't keep good control of his legs. In this scenario, someone like Will, who's a good half-bar player, okay. Someone like Will, who's a good half-bar player, if I move my knee to the opposite side of his hip, it's not good for him, but he can still keep good control of me, okay? See how he can keep control of my legs? In this Garmo situation, he doesn't hold on to the legs, okay? So as we're here, he comes up to his elbow, okay? Forces him down because he misses so he forces him down onto his elbow from this position, to his shoulder, sorry, from this position. And as Garmo goes to turn into him, okay, so as he turns into him, Tarzan brings his knee that was trapped to the opposite side. So look, my knee's coming to the opposite side now, and because it's open, he manages to windscreen wiper both his legs to the opposite side, and then he gets to this position and starts working, okay? Let me just show that sequence quickly. Look here, he gets his other leg free now in this position, and gets both of his legs out. Now he's in side control, okay? Has good cross face from there, and then he moves to north-south, okay? Let me get full screen here, okay? So, as he's in north-south, he has good pinning position here, which I'll show, and he's working to get the top arm, okay? Whenever we're going for Kimuras, whichever side his top side is the side we're going to go for Kimuras, okay? So what I mean by that is, if I'm laying on my side, this is my top side, okay? If Will was on top of me now and he tried to Kimura my lower arm, it would be a lot harder, okay? So what you're trying to do is when the person's on their side, or a north-south, whichever side they give you is the one you want to Kimura with, So you'll get into some situations where people are on their side, or on their back, sorry. They'll be slightly open to this side. They'll realize you're going for the Kimura, and they'll aggressively turn, and then they'll open up their other side. You can continuously work between those two arms, okay, until you get a good grip, which is kind of what Oliver Tarza does here, but he gets his grip quite quickly, okay? Go back a step. Okay. All he's looking to do is get a grip, control of the wrist and pin it to his body, okay? Now he's working to get his other hand in now to get the full grip, which he does now, okay? And now look, he gets his leg over to start working on Garmo's free arm to separate the grip itself, okay? And he still continues to work for this as he's setting up the side triangle, okay? This side triangle can work, but you've got to be very good at it. Braulio used to finish with it a lot, but it's I don't know, fairly specialist. Not a lot of people get finishes with it, but it's a good position to control the rest of the person's body as you try and single out the arm and finish with more, okay? So he's rolling. Look, he separated the arms here. Now look, he goes for a wrist lock to open Garmo up even more, brings his arm to the mat, and now he works for this Kimura. This Kimura looks fairly on, okay? What happens here though, he loses his control over Garmo's head. Garmo can start turning into him, sitting up into him, sorry, to relieve pressure. Okay, see how Tarz is trying to bring his top leg over now to keep keep him back on the mat, okay? But Garmo can use his head to turn in to relieve pressure. And he loses the elbow now, and now we're back to this, okay? Let's just go over that sequence quickly, okay? Right. Okay, so when I'm in, like we were talking about last week or the week before, when I'm controlling someone, I'm trying to control someone in the diagonal. I'm trying to control someone in the diagonal, okay? So look, from here, my diagonal would be, my hips are controlling this hip closest to me, and my body, or my head and my grips are controlling this far shoulder. So it's hard for me to get out, okay? So what Taj is doing here is he's doing the opposite, which I was talking before, okay? My hips are now controlling his shoulder, and my head is controlling his hip. Okay, this is a good strong pin. It's hard for him to turn away to the side, and it's hard to bridge directly into me, okay? This is just bridging into my glutes, okay? Also, this is a sub-only match. Garmo's less worried about, because you see what Will was doing there, which would be good for Will to do, would be use his arms as he bridges into me, so bridge into like you need to do. You see how he's using the arms to bridge into me? That'll be not, this is good if he's in an IBJJF match to get position back, but he also leaves himself open to get attacked. In general, if you've been passed, you're going to have to risk something to get back to a good position, okay? Which is what Will is doing well there, which is using his arms to turn back in. Garmo realizes he's in a bad position because he's in a sub-only match. He naturally brings his hands inside to stop himself from getting more, okay? If Will's arm was out like this and he tried to turn into me, it'd be very, very easy for me to immediately go to Kimura, okay? But I have to work now. It's harder for him to escape bottom, but I have to work to actually submit him when his arms are tied up like this, okay? And naturally, the arm that's away from me is the easier one to control, okay? If I went to attack this and he turned his elbow to the floor, okay, that's when I would switch off and try and attack the other one, okay? But luckily for Tarza, he basically catches the first grip he gets, okay? So I'm pinning his hand to his body, and my hand, comes underneath and controls, okay? Now I have my figure 4. What happens is on this, there's not enough space for me to show you. Okay, so I have my Kimura. Will has his hands connected, okay? Garmo had his hands connected. To start separating these arms now, it's useful for me to use my legs, okay? But what Tarzan does here is he steps his other leg over his elbow to start separating, okay? He brings his hand all the way underneath his armpit, his leg all the way underneath his armpit. My other leg goes underneath Will's head, and I fall to my side. Now I can work to straighten my legs, put his elbow in, and start looking to lock the triangle, okay? Sorry, it's really, really hard to see, okay? I've locked my triangle up on Will's head here, okay? It's hard for him now to keep his hands connected, okay? Now my goal is to try and get his wrist to the ground. If I can get his wrist to the ground, I can start working. Okay. If I can get his wrist to the ground, I can start working to finish my Kimura. Okay. So what he does to force Garmo to do that is he puts on a quick wrist lock here, which makes him straighten his arm out, and it makes it easy for me to put his wrist to the floor. Now I can start coming up my knees. Okay. Now I'm in a good position to start finishing. If I want to finish this Kimura, the way I want to do this is instead of trying to push his wrist towards his head, my goal is to make more of a pulling motion with this arm, okay? So don't think the arm that's pushing the Kimura, so this hand here, is less about pushing, it's more energy efficient for you to make a pulling motion with your whole body, okay? So what I mean by that is his arms pinned to the ground, my hands underneath his elbow, okay? I'm going to make a line between his elbow and my head and his far hip, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I just keep his wrist pinned and I move away from his elbow, pulling it towards me like this. And this gets my finish, okay? You shouldn't be finishing the submission like this, but a good way to show if it works or not, or you're doing good mechanics, is if you can get his wrist to the floor, your hand weaves through and grabs his wrist. And now my motion, instead of pushing his wrist, is just a motion of me pulling my elbow and my head towards his far hip and getting my tap there, okay? You can't see it, but he's tapping up, okay? Yeah, and then unfortunately, Garmo's slips his elbow out in that sequence and manages to get out, unfortunately. Okay, and also, sorry, come on, man. Okay. So what I was talking about before, when I have this Kimura, okay, it's usually good if I can stop him from turning up into me, okay? So usually I'll try and have this leg over his head. Okay. Come to that so you can just slap him off. Okay. So to take pressure away from my Kimura, Will can always sit up into me, okay? So if I'm like this and I don't have a leg over his head and I go for this Kimura, you see how he's coming up, following me up all the way into me? Okay, and if I hold on to this, okay, say I had his wrist in front of his stomach and I was going for this, he would sit up all the way with having me in side control, okay? But no, and this is why it's important to always work to get the wrist to the floor or the wrist behind his back. Most important is to try and get his wrist behind his back, okay? It's a very unathletic position. It's very, very hard for you to get out of a wrist behind the back. That's why police handcuff people behind their back, okay? It's very hard for me to start straightening out or use my strength when my hand is behind my back, okay? I can't really use it very well. So, if that scenario that happens when the guy's turning into you and maybe you can't get the leg over his head, at least make sure his wrist is behind his back, okay? If he rocks up into me now, which I'll let him do, yeah, it doesn't matter, because even if he follows me up, he can't straighten his arm out, and either he'll tap in side control with my Kimura, or he'll be forced to roll, okay, because of the Kimura pressure itself, okay? So make sure if the guys that are coming up, you at least want his wrist behind his back, okay? Most of the time, you still want to be able to control the person with your leg over their head like this to stop them from coming up in the first place. All right, so let's go over just the last little bit of sequence. Okay, so here he's passed, he's missed the Kimura, and look, he's tentative now because of the rule set to go for these legs. You see, he's thinking about doing other stuff, but it goes back to scoop grip, sitting back, and he moves himself back into this saddle position. It's good for him to do this because in the saddle position, it keeps his hips basically smashed to one side. And it makes it hard for Garmo to start working to push away. And what most people want when they're trying to retain guard is they want their knees facing towards you so they can get back to a good guard, okay? which is what Taz is doing deliberately, is forcing Garmo's legs, or his knees to face away from him, okay? Goes back to the same sequence he's doing before. Okay, steps over, knee slice, pummels his legs out, and now it's side control, back exposure, takes his back, hooks in, now he's in back control, okay? Let's go over that one more time, sorry. So look, brings his knee out, pummels his legs out, back exposure, takes his back, okay? Got one more. Okay, so let's go over that quickly for the finish. So, using side control, this is a nice sequence. Using side control here. Using side control here, and he wants to go back to saddle to start setting up his dynamics again. So he scoop grips the far leg, okay? He comes up, he gets his leg in the inside, and he goes back to the saddle here, okay? Now from here, he does a similar thing from before, where he's bringing this knee that's on the see my knees next to Will's hip this side? What he does now is he moves his knee to the far side, he gets his legs out, now he uses his second leg here, kicks through, pummels over, and he comes here, okay, to side control. I've already got Will turning away from me now, so as he continues to turn away, I get my seatbelt, he gets his Kimura grip here, and now he works to pull him in and get his hooks in. Okay, so he has his hooks now. Garmo's doing the correct thing in this scenario, and he starts sliding his body out to the opening. See how we were talking about before, where you're either going to try and escape your hips first or escape your shoulders. You see this opening my leg. It's good for Will now to start bringing his hips out to this side. Yeah, so you're sliding out and bringing his hips out of this leg. So what Taza does now is, because he anticipates this, he immediately throws his leg over his head and goes to this armbar scenario. Okay. Let's just go over the armbar sequence quickly. So you see he's pummeling his legs there to get up to the side. Back exposure. Gets his Kimura grip. Puts his hook in. Garmo's trying to slide out, so he immediately throws his legs over. Let's just show you the whole sequence, finish the sequence. Okay, he's in armbar now. He's keeping it. He's stopping Garmo from coming up. Switches his arms and controls the leg to extra control Garmo. Okay, he goes back to fighting the hands. Okay, now his goal here is to get his elbow next to Garmo's wrist, which you can't really see if he does. And now he finishes the armbar here. Okay, so let me show you what he's doing quickly. Okay, so we're here. Okay. So I've just done this sequence where I throw the leg over. Finishing in this position, yeah, where I have my Kimura, okay? So, good things that Taza does here, right? So, most of the time, people are always going to be trying to turn up and get to their knees, all right? So the ways he stops this, while he has the Kimura, a good way for him to slow the person down, this won't stop the guy from coming. You see how when I'm controlling this Kimura, I have no way to base off the ground. So if Will tries to turn into me now, look, I have to go with it, because my hand's not there. I'd have to let go of the Kimura to stop that from happening. So say I let go of the Kimura and put my hand on the floor, okay, I'd only have the hand on the wrist now, and he could start turning out and getting out, okay? So what Taza does is he switches his hand out, so look, the hand is on the wrist, now comes and shoots through. Okay, and now my other hand can go to his leg. So now if he tries to come up onto me, I have control of his legs so his knees can't hit the ground, and also I have good pressure with my legs to keep him down. And I always have this hand now to base on the floor, and I can just control his legs whenever he feels like he wants to get up. Now the next thing that Taza wants to do is he wants to get the inside of his armpit, inside of his elbow, sorry, to the wrist of Garmo's hand, okay? So what he does, when he's off here, he works to separate these, okay? So he's working to separate these, and he gets wrist to, so Garmo's wrist, the inside of his elbow now. This is much better control to start pulling off. If it was just my inside of my elbow to his inside of his elbow and we're working against each other, it's just strength. It's not going to work, okay? So I'm going to go elbow to wrist, and he works to open it to one side. Garmo gives up quite easily here, okay? I think it's partly because he's tight. But from here, if I'm breaking grips, I'll go elbow to wrist, okay? I'll work so it's not straight on. Turn your legs a bit more so you can see. Double way. So when we're here, I don't want to work straight, like I'm pulling against his strength, okay? I want to make it so it's his shoulder. I'm going against his shoulder and not his bicep. So what I'll do to do this, there's loads of different ways you'll see this happen, okay? You'll see this when I show it. Is you want his elbow on one side of your hip and his wrist on the other side of your hip. Grips will always break like this, okay? Usually it's going to be this elbow to lower hip, okay? And then open up like this, okay? If he tries to control, so if I go, show your hands, okay? If I get his elbow to my lower hip, my elbow to his wrist, okay? If he tries to hold on now, it's very hard because it's just his shoulder, his rotator cuff working against my two hands, okay? There's loads of different ways you'll see this happen, okay? There's loads of ways he can clasp his hands, like he can have just a normal palm-to-palm grip. He can do an S grip, or he can start doing this elbow-to-elbow grip, or this figure four where he puts his arm under the leg, which is the most common one. This is a really good one. This is what good people usually do, okay? So there's not one way to break the grip, okay? But usually there's always things that happen in all of those sequences, okay? So I always want to have a nice control period where I'm controlling his legs, okay? And when I want to split, I usually want to switch off and go elbow to wrist at some point. In all of these hand fights, you're usually going to go elbow to wrist, okay? Like this, and you usually want to break across. See how his arm's in basically an Americana position? You usually want to get to this position. It's going to be an easier break. If I just go muscle to muscle, especially when it's a big guy, it's just not going to work, okay? We're always going to be splitting off like this, okay? There was no, after this happens when you split the arm, there still might be a battle where the person tries to hitchhiker. It doesn't happen in this Garma match. He just, as soon as his arm's extended, he kind of gives up. But if you want to make good pressure here, you see how I've brung his elbow to my hip that's closest to his legs, okay? Remember, in this rule, it's right rule, okay? So in this scenario, it's a left, okay? So I'm controlling his left arm, okay? His elbow's going over my left hip, and his hand is going to go over my left shoulder, okay? And same with on the right side, I was attacking his right arm, he's going over my right hip and my right shoulder, okay? The reason being, if I extend it, I'm going to go over arm bars next week in more detail. I just wanted to show this as I just wanted to show these are all sequences connected to each other, okay? So look, so his elbow's on my hip, and I'm bringing it over to the same side shoulder, okay? Now if he tries to hitchhiker in this scenario, he can't because it's all on this side. If his elbow was on the top side here, it'd be super easy for him to hitchhiker, okay? But I'm bringing it on the low. It's easier to tell when you can do it on someone across the field. So I bring it across this side, and it's the same thing when I'm breaking, sorry. So when I break, I still have bad control of the arm, okay? And if it's not completely on my hip, he can hitchhiker. So what I do with my free arm is I pin it against my hip. So if he tries to hitchhiker now, because it's next to his left arm against my left hip, he's very hard for him to hitchhiker. Then I can snatch, get the wrist, sit back, and get my finish, okay? But I'll show the armbar sequences next week in a bit more detail because I had to rush it at the end there, and I feel like it's much more important than I gave it credit for at the end there, okay? So, is there anything, I know that was a pretty quick, not quick, I went blast force 100% there. I lost the colour in my hair, I went so quickly. Is there any questions before I go? No? Okay, I'll go over the armbar stuff in a lot more detail and go from catching it from bottom and top and finishing, okay, just in a lot more detail next week. All right? See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, lesson.